Good morning, Crystal Palace, and welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Lunch. My name is Galina Rin. I have decided not to put my stage lights in this morning. It's just for a bit of change. The sun is shining here in Crystal Palace, so I thought I'd just let the sun shine in through my windows. Bring in a little sunshine, eh? We have with us today Neil Michael Marriott. Neil Michael Marriott. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I am very good. Thank you very much.
Good, me too. Yes, very well, thank you.
So tell the folks who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name's Neil. I am an agent with my own agency, Crawford Marriott Associates. And we've been operating for around 3 years now. And we look after actors, singers, dancers, all of the above across theatre, television, film, commercials, um, anything in the arts, really. And that's what we do.
Amazing. How did you start off down this career path? Because this is obviously something quite odd. Because there's a lot of actors, not so many agents, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are more agents than people think there
Oh,
are,
okay.
actually, to be honest. There are quite a lot. But I got into this basically from being in the theatre from all my working life, really. I started off as a performer and was lucky enough to work in the theatre on occasion. And then I got into producing on the London Fringe, which was quite successful as well. Did a few productions there, which is where I met my business partner, Sky. And we produced a few things together at venues like the Southwark Playhouse and the Lost Theatre. And then I had this idea that we could be great agents. So the idea was born, and we started putting everything together. It took about 6 months to get everything in place, and then we launched in September of 2017. So just over 3 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite part about being an agent?
Um, I really enjoy looking at all the work that's coming in, and the things that are going to be coming up. On your favorite TV shows, and you can't tell anybody about it. It's all very private. But yeah, I think the favorite part is when you put somebody up for a job and then that transitions into an audition. That's always the first win, really, because there are so many actors, as you mentioned before. So actually, if one of our clients gets picked out to and invited to audition, then that's the first win for us straight away. If that then transitions into a job, there's nothing better than actually calling somebody and telling them that they've been offered the role that they've auditioned for. It's always very satisfying at that point, and I really love that about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've worked in loads of jobs, and one of them was as a promoter in a punk venue up in Camden, and all that kind of stuff. And I always find it really satisfying when you're going through. I can only use the word trudging through audition tapes, essentially, for whether it's bands or actors or whatever, and then you find that one, and you're like It's almost as like you're the first person to have ever heard it, or like you're like I've discovered something that no one else knows about this new
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Do you
great.
do
That
you get
is.
that as well in with the
We
tips or
we
whatever?
we do, because obviously, especially recently, in recent times, everything has sort of transitioned from in-person meetings to everybody having to self-tape their auditions. So everything comes into us, and then we'll review those tapes, and it's excellent, really, watching people's ideas and what they've come up with and how they've interpreted a script. And sometimes, you're like, this is really great. I really want them to get this, because people have great minds and great ideas, and it's just what they come up with, without the presence of a director there as well. So, and we've had a lot of that, a lot of tape watching. I was doing that this morning at about 6:30 today. Just had quite a lot of tapes to get through this morning. So So yeah, I totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a new normal? Do you think that will be carried on from here? And I'm assuming that live auditions with a director and some crew is expensive. And is there maybe an insight that going forward it's more likely to be Zoom if people get used to it?
Do you know, I think probably, especially in the first instance, because as the restrictions have been lifted somewhat, we're not really seeing a lot of auditions now taking place in person to begin with. There are some, not lots, but personally, I mean, when I've produced shows before, there's the expense of having to hire a room or a studio, and then perhaps you might need a piano, or then you've got your whole team to bring in. So it can be very, very costly. And I think actually we've proved that we actually don't need that expense. Certainly in the first stages of casting.
Is there maybe any tips that you would give to people who were going to send in audition videos? If you think this is something that might be sticking with us for a while, what are the main flaws that or things that you can say about the audition tips you've got now?
I think certainly sometimes people don't really view taping as an audition sometimes. So often we have to sometimes go back and ask people to think about it as if they are in the room actually doing that audition, because it's almost like the video doesn't really count, but actually that is the first part of the audition process for you. So actually, in a lot of ways, it's the most important part, and it's just got to shine out of who knows how many tapes they've asked for. So it's got to shine. And one thing I would suggest to people is that they do read the instructions that are sent, and do what's been asked as well. Read things carefully, and really, really go for it. This is your opportunity to shine at this point. Because of course we can't do the audition for you.
Well, that's it. Is there do people's production of these videos go against them? I mean, I'm sure that the video has to be of some decent quality. I mean,
yeah, I think. I mean, to be honest, they're not looking for the next Hollywood blockbuster when you're doing these tapes, but I think what they are looking for is a little bit of thought. Sometimes you might receive something where you've got somebody's washing in the background, or or a cupboard that's been left open. And so really, you are looking for it to be, always shoot it in landscape. Always find a plain background to work to. Says me with my, but
you're not an audition, so
but I'm
fine.
not doing a self-tape, so, yeah, and make sure you just follow all of the instructions. Sometimes they want a slate, well, actually, all the time, I'd say. But in those slates, they're not always the same. They want different bits of information for different jobs and things like that. So, it's important to make it look like there's a bit of effort behind it, I'd say.
Oh yeah, that's a good point to thinking about it. Like if you had a background, I'm just now looking at my own background. If I was looking at someone for a job, and I saw their background was messy, I'm like, if they're not taking care of themselves at home, what care are they going to have on my project?
Yeah. It's also as well to think about. If there's something in the background, like if I notice something and I'm watching your audition, suddenly my attention is drawn to what's that on the wall, sort of thing. So it's helping you as well. If there's nothing else to look at but you, then you're winning then, because there's no distractions anywhere.
Yeah. Well, just on that note, at the Upper Norwood Library Hub, we now have a filming and live streaming and audio editing suite. Essentially, we're going to put one in. So if any actors out there need some help with a nice background and a good camera, we've got that for hire at the library. I was pushing for this the whole time. I was obviously going for a whole thing there, a whole big advert there. That's fine.
We'll pass that on to everybody.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. So is there anything else that you've had to change over this period? Because I mean, I'm not sure if there's no work for actors, then there's no work for you guys. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, right at the very beginning of the lockdown back in March, I mean, everything just stopped overnight. Like everything was shut off, shut down. So, that was the same for us as well. There was no work to be putting people forward for. But at the same time, we had people that were in work and who were then losing their jobs instantly. Some people were abroad on ships and things like that. So it was sort of the first few weeks of trying to get people back and trying to sort out logistics of where people are was quite tricky. And I have to say, my colleague Sky actually managed all of that more so than I did, and did a great job at that. But yeah, I mean, everything just literally stopped, and that meant that instead of spending all day working as I do now and did before, I was sort of maybe checking my email for 10 minutes during a day, and then taking myself out on long walks, which is something I've discovered that I enjoy from being on the lockdown. I thought, well, yeah, I found that. Bought the walking shoes, and just started going on really long walks. And now that's something that I love. I don't have time to do it anymore, which is great. I'm not complaining.
yeah. I think that's my one tip for everyone ever alive is buy yourself a good pair of walking shoes, because they'll just do you for forever in a day.
Oh,
It's just
and if
amazing.
you just go out on a day, I've discovered, I mean, I'm in North London. I didn't know, all of this countryside really that's available right on my doorstep. If you just keep walking and keep walking some more, there's actually a really beautiful countryside on the edge of North London, which was really nice to discover. So
Yeah, no, that's very cool. So we always ask folks if they have a piece of advice for anyone who may be, because obviously at this time, loads of people are thinking of retraining. If somebody was thinking of going into being an agent, what would be the piece of advice you would give them for doing that at this time?
I
And you
think
can't say
at
don't.
this time, I mean, I would really, for us, there's conventional routes where people might go and work as an agent's assistant or something like that, which is one route in if agents are looking. But for us, if you've worked within the industry anywhere really, those skills are transferable, because we didn't have that experience of working up the ranks through an agency. We just took our skills from being on the production side of the industry and transferred it over to becoming agents. And actually, it's done us well, because we knew what we were asked by agents, and therefore we were able to transfer that across. But yeah, it's just you've got to be prepared, I think, you've got to work the long hours, the weekends, the evenings, holidays. So it kind of doesn't stop really. You might have your Monday to Friday office hours, but if people are out on jobs or working or filming over the weekends, then certainly at least one of us has to be available. So I'd say that you have to be prepared for the long hours, and also taking your laptop wherever you go. So, for instance, I was in Bali at the start of the year before all of the lockdown, and my trusty laptop was by my side every day, and I was kind of working from there. Whilst being on holiday as well. But yeah, it's just being prepared, that there's long hours, and it's really a lot of commitment to it, because you're, as a business, we're selling ourselves and priding ourselves on the fact that we look after these people, and we're effectively handling the direction of their careers going forward. So you've really got to be prepared for that, and you can't sort of You can't ever drop the ball, really, because it's somebody's career in your hands. So, but that works quite well for us. If you've got all those skills and that prepared to work those hours and do those things, then you're good to go. I think. I don't think there's anything really specific, but every day is a learning day. You don't sort of do it for 6 months and then know everything. We learn new things every day. We meet new people every day. And that's one thing you have to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to get to know people in the industry, especially the casting directors and things like that. Going out to see people perform when we can, that sort of thing. So, yeah, hard work, long hours, and commitment.
Yeah, I guess because being an agent, you are the networking end of the artist, right? So there's just really no time off because you'd just be going from one thing to the next thing.
Yeah.
And you must...
I mean, it's obviously a lot quieter now, but of course, sort of before any of this happened, you sort of work your full day and then you're out at the theatre at night. Some days, some weeks you're at the theatre every night, watching things, meeting new people, trying to get new contacts and things like that. So yeah, that's good. But it's good. It's enjoyable, and we love it.
Amazing. If people wanted to get in contact with you, where's the best place for them to get to you? To get to me. Oh my goodness. Maybe you don't want people to contact you. That's fine too. I mean, that's fine too.
Well, I think you can find me on the internet, that's for sure. But our website, www.cmalondon.co.uk, has our contact details, etc. on there. Yes, and we're always open to meeting new people.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Neil, Michael. That was very cool. I think if there's a lot of really good information in there for actors, and they'd be foolish not to listen to those gems of wisdom that you just dropped on us about those audition tapes. And I've got a couple of projects that we're working on at the library with young emerging writers and things like that. So I'm going to pass on this interview to them because they'll be looking at all this kind of stuff as well. So thank you.
Oh, so great. Well, thanks for having me. Thank you.
So just to drop our normal little outro things here, the All Alone Together project is still going. So that is a very short, where is it? I'm trying to look for it while I'm just talking here. It's a very short questionnaire on our website, and it's about your time in lockdown. So if you would like for Eleanor to interview you about how your family, your work, your life has been in lockdown, then that is still open until the end of October. And that's going to be made into a podcast, which is going to be launched very soon. We have 2 podcasts currently live, and then once we get the 3rd one up, we're going to go over the whole big marketing push, and you'll be able to hear the voices of our local community as they talk about lockdown. That podcast will also be archived at the British Museum, and it will be a station inside the library, so you'll be able to come in and put on headphones and listen to the voices of the people in the local community. So if you want to get involved in that, it's all going until the end of October. And then everything else from our Performing Arts for Children weeks, which has started already, but they're still taking people. Our Halloween event is on the 31st of October at 6 o'clock. That will include green screen animations that I'm doing, along with all those great singers that Daniel Stockton brings to the library, all these wonderful West End voices, and it's all for free on this channel. So if you want to know about any of that stuff, go over to our website. I've put the links in the old description and in the chat, so there is no excuse, Crystal Palace. Thank you very much for joining us. I thank again Neil Michael for joining us. Thank you very much, sir. It was lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much.
And we are back tomorrow at 12. So have a nice day, everybody. All right, bye-bye.